Welcome to my next video on how to have difficult conversations well. As a manager, we need to know how to have these difficult conversations with our employees. They shouldn't be avoided, and we should use them as a stepping stone to move forward. I'll show you how to equip yourself to have the right mindset to go into these conversations and have a very positive conversation, which is not too aggressive and not too cozy. I want to look at how we can give good developmental feedback, as well as facing and embracing conflict situations and deliver difficult news. If this is done correctly, we can look to remove a toxic environment, as well as building trust between employees, managers, and other people, and how we can share information with the rest of the team. Remember that this is not prescriptive, and you can use this as a guide for yourself going forward. With Lencioni's conflict continuum, there's two kind of directions this kind of conversations can go, either constructive or destructive. Constructive is where there's artificial harmony between them, where there's fake agreements that are in place between yourself and the employees. Destructive is when there are emotional outbursts, blame, and nasty sarcasm. What you want to aim for is something in the middle called a conflict sweet spot, where it's a way to deal with difficulties in an adult way with fresh perspectives and opinions, and you can view the conflict as a potential opportunity rather than a threat. There's a couple of tips that you can use to try and hit this conflict sweet spot. You're not going to get it right the first time, but you can try and use this to help get you there. Firstly, you can set some ground rules by defining acceptable behavior. This is so you don't fall into the destructive category and everyone doesn't get interrupted and it leads to personal attacks. Whilst in a meeting, you can also understand the what's in it for me factor, where you step into the other person's shoe and consider from them what's in it for me. You can also practice your opening few sentences to try and help yourself set the tone and get the meeting off on the right foot. You can also ask for alternate views from other people in the group or outside of the group to kind of view all the different perspectives of the argument. It's also important to neutralize your biases and focus on the views, behaviors, and the events, and prioritize these areas of conflict that you're trying to address. Be specific in what you're talking about and not to diverge and be too vague about it. There isn't a set plan to have these kind of conversations, but you can use these steps to try and prepare yourselves. The first stage is prepare. Think about what you want to talk about in the conversation. What are the shared goals that you want to try and achieve? And what is in it for me factor? Open the conversation well. Make sure you have enough time and you define the ground rules, and also agree on what you will and will not talk about for the session. State the area of the source of the conflict. Be specific with what you're talking about. This is the hardest part of the conversation, but you need to make sure that you articulate your perspective clearly, fairly, and simply early on in the conversation. End the conversation well. Make sure there is a shared agreement between both parties. If there are things left unsaid or unsolved, then don't be afraid to schedule another meeting. You can have as many meetings as you need in order to solve this issue. Also, check your understanding from the other person's point of view and also restate your initial intention and shared goal. Here are 4 steps that you can do to give that effective feedback. The first is I see. For example, I see you checking your phone while I'm trying to talk to you about an important issue. You could then move on to your opinion of it. I assume, I imagine. For example, I imagine that you're really busy, so you're trying to do 2 things at once. Is that the case? From that, you can move on to show you how you feel, basically, as a manager. Like, this makes me feel that you're not interested in what I'm saying. From that, you can move on to your shared intention. What I would like you to. So, for example, I would like you to tell me more about your priorities that are distracting you, so then I can help you solve them or give you time to solve them, so then you can give me your full attention. So in summary, what you want to do is go with the flow of the conversation. So plan what you want to say, what topics you want to talk about, set those ground rules, and pick the right time that you're going to have this conversation, whether it's an ad hoc meeting, in a one-to-one, or sometimes even in retros. Don't forget, this is not always about you as well. So listen, listen, listen. Listen to what they have to say, absorb everything that they have to say, show your understanding of it, and then you can start to share your ideas of how to solve this problem. Always be authentic in what you're saying and deliver on any promises that you make. As I said in the start of the video, I've managed for many years, and you're not going to get this right the first time, and it's all down with practice. So the more people you meet, you manage, and the more you have to deal with, then your technique will evolve by itself. Another useful tip for yourself as a manager is to have a period of self-reflection where you think about those meetings that you've had and what you've said, and think about how you could have made them better, or if they've gone well, then why has it gone well. If you found this video useful, then click to subscribe and watch out for our upcoming new videos.